Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. It was supposed to be one of those cozy holiday traditions, the kind wrapped in laughter, familiar rituals, and that warm feeling of this is how our family does it. But this year, something felt different. Fans of Live with Kelly and Mark picked up on it almost instantly. No announcement, no dramatic moment, just a subtle shift that made everyone watching lean in a little closer. Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos, a couple admired for their family closeness and their easy, honest stories about raising their three kids, made a quiet decision that carried heavier emotions than anyone expected. And once Kelly finally addressed it, gently, vulnerably, viewers instantly understood why. Because this wasn't just about a tradition ending, it was about change. It was about family. It was about the kind of heartbreak that arrives softly when traditions start to feel different. Holidays are comforting because they stay the same, year after year, moment after moment, memory after memory. They're the anchors we return to, even as life shifts around us. But every parent knows there comes a moment when those rituals don't fit the way they used to. Kelly and Mark reached that moment this year. On a recent episode of their morning show, the tone in the studio softened when the topic of holiday plans came up. There was no big build-up, no headline-ready remark, just Kelly speaking quietly and Mark sitting beside her with that calm, supportive presence he's become known for. She explained that they had made the decision to let go of a long-standing family holiday tradition, one they cherished, not because they wanted to, not because they didn't care, but because holding on to it had become more emotionally complicated than they ever expected. For so many families, that sentence hit home. When grown kids change the rhythm. Kelly shared something millions of parents silently experience. As children grow, traditions don't always grow with them. Her voice held honesty, not sadness exactly, but a tender acceptance as she explained that coordinating schedules with adult kids had become stressful. Everyone was trying, but nothing felt effortless anymore. What once happened naturally now required planning, negotiating, adjusting, and sometimes disappointment. At some point, she and Mark found themselves asking, are we honoring the tradition or forcing it? That question can catch any parent off guard. It's one of those thoughts you don't want to admit out loud, because doing so means acknowledging that a chapter of life has changed, and change, even when gentle, can sting. Kelly confessed the realization brought an unexpected wave of emotion, because traditions aren't just habits, they're symbols. They hold memories of when the kids were younger, when everyone lived under the same roof, when the magic felt simpler. Letting go meant accepting time had moved forward. Mark's quiet perspective. As Kelly spoke, Mark didn't jump in. He didn't fix, correct, or lighten the moment. He simply added one thoughtful insight. Sometimes protecting the relationship means lowering expectations, not raising them. It wasn't dismissive, it wasn't cold, it was caring. It was the kind of wisdom that comes only from loving your family enough to accept that love changes form over time. Viewers felt that. This wasn't drama, this wasn't conflict, it was two parents acknowledging that life had shifted, and instead of resisting the change, they were choosing peace. A moment that resonated everywhere. What made the moment so powerful was its honesty. Kelly wasn't blaming her kids, she wasn't expressing resentment, she was simply naming something every parent eventually feels, the quiet ache that comes when the family dynamic evolves and the traditions you once held tightly begin slipping into the past. She talked about the bittersweet mix of emotions, the pride in seeing her children grow up into adults with their own lives, and the soft sadness of realizing that the family moments she once counted on won't unfold exactly the same way again. But the line that struck the deepest chord was this: choosing peace over tradition doesn't mean you don't miss what you let go of. Suddenly, the conversation didn't feel like a celebrity story anymore. It felt like everyone's story. Social media lit up, but not with criticism, with understanding. Parents shared their own experiences. Adult children reflected on their shifting family roles. People admitted, I feel this too, I just never said it out loud. This wasn't sad, it was human. Kelly also made sure viewers knew this wasn't a permanent goodbye. Traditions can return, they can evolve, they can become something new. What matters, she said, is respecting where everyone is right now. That honesty was refreshing in a world where celebrity stories are too often exaggerated or dramatized. This moment didn't need theatrics to be impactful. It was real, relatable, and quietly moving. The segment ended without a tidy conclusion, because life doesn't give those on schedule, and viewers didn't need one. They saw two parents navigating the same emotional territory so many families approach as their kids grow up. But then something unexpected happened. The next episode brought something even more interesting. Kelly's laughter, usually bright and effortless, came just a second later that morning. Mark's responses felt slower, more reflective. Between the jokes and cheerful banter, there were tiny pauses, subtle glances, a softness that suggested the decision was still sitting in their hearts. Fans noticed. They began asking questions, not out of gossip, but out of recognition. Was this really about a single holiday tradition, or about a deeper transition, a stage of parenthood rarely talked about on live TV? And that's when this story shifted from relatable to universal. Because what Kelly and Mark were experiencing wasn't simply a change in plans, it was a change in family rhythm, a new chapter, a quieter one where love doesn't fade, but it stretches, adapts, matures. Why this moment stuck with viewers. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't controversial, it was simply true. Families evolve, traditions shift, and sometimes the bravest thing we can do is acknowledge it and let ourselves feel the tenderness of that truth. Kelly and Mark showed that letting go doesn't mean losing love, it means making room for what the family needs now. They reminded us that change isn't failure, it's growth. And growth, especially in families, is almost always emotional. And the story isn't over. Because right after this quiet but powerful holiday confession, something else happened. Something small but telling. In the next part of this story, Kelly revealed a comment off camera that explains everything. A moment so subtle most people missed it, but once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Stay tuned. The next chapter may be the most relatable one yet.